Jonah Chapter 1. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh, and preach against it, for its wickedness has risen before me. But Jonah defied the Lord and fled toward Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, found a ship bound for that port, paid the fare, and boarded it, hoping to escape God's presence. Then the Lord hurled a mighty wind upon the sea, stirring up a violent storm that threatened to shatter the ship. The sailors, gripped by fear, cried out to their own gods and flung the cargo overboard to lighten the vessel. Meanwhile, Jonah had slipped below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. The captain stormed over to him and shouted, "How can you sleep? Get up and pray to your God. Perhaps he'll take pity on us and we won't perish." The sailors, desperate for answers, said to one another, "Come, let's cast lots to find out who's brought this disaster upon us." They cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. They surrounded him and demanded, "Tell us, who's responsible for this trouble? What do you do? Where are you from? What's your country and people?" Jonah replied, "I'm a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." This terrified them even more, and they asked, "What have you done?" For they already knew he was running from the Lord, as he'd confessed it earlier. As the sea grew wilder, they pressed him, "What must we do to you to calm this storm?" Jonah answered, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then it will settle. I know this tempest is my fault." The men rowed hard to reach land, but the waves overwhelmed them. At last, they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, don't let us die for this man's life, and don't hold us guilty of innocent blood. For you, Lord, have done as you pleased." With that, they lifted Jonah and cast him into the sea, and the raging waters grew still. Awestruck, the sailors feared the Lord greatly, offered a sacrifice, and made vows to him. Then the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah, and he remained in its belly for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah Chapter 2. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He cried, "In my anguish I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the depths of the grave I pleaded for help, and you heard my voice. You cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, where currents swirled and your waves crashed over me. I thought, I'm banished from your sight. Yet I will look once more toward your holy temple." The waters engulfed me, threatening my life. The deep closed in, and seaweed tangled around my head. I sank to the roots of the mountains, the earth's bars locking me in forever. But you, Lord my God, lifted my life from the pit. As my strength faded, I remembered you, and my prayer rose to your holy temple. Those who chase worthless idols forsake your mercy, but I, with shouts of praise, will offer sacrifices to you. What I vowed, I will fulfill. Salvation belongs to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Jonah Chapter 3. The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. "Go to the great city of Nineveh, and proclaim the message I give you." This time, Jonah obeyed and set out for Nineveh, a vast city, so large it took 3 days to cross. He entered it, walked a day's journey, and declared, 40 days more, and Nineveh will be overthrown. The Ninevites believed God. They proclaimed a fast, and from the greatest to the least, they dressed in sackcloth. When Jonah's warning reached the king, he rose from his throne, shed his royal robes, donned sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He issued a decree, by order of the king and his nobles, let no one, neither people nor animals, herds nor flocks, taste food or water. Cover yourselves and your beasts in sackcloth, and cry out urgently to God. Turn from your evil ways and violence. Who knows, God may yet relent, show compassion, and turn from his fierce anger so we won't perish. When God saw their actions, how they turned from their wickedness, he had mercy and did not bring the destruction he had threatened. Jonah Chapter 4. But Jonah was outraged and deeply angered. He prayed to the Lord, "Isn't this what I said would happen when I was still at home? That's why I fled to Tarshish. I knew you're a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger, rich in love, and quick to relent from calamity. Now, Lord, take my life. It's better for me to die than live." The Lord replied, "Is it right for you to be angry?" Jonah stormed out and sat east of the city. He built a shelter, settled in its shade, and waited to see what would become of Nineveh. Then the Lord God appointed a leafy plant to grow over Jonah, providing shade for his head and easing his discomfort. Jonah rejoiced over the plant. But at dawn the next day, God sent a worm to chew the plant, and it withered. As the sun rose, God unleashed a scorching east wind, and the sun blazed down on Jonah's head until he grew faint. Once again he wished to die, saying, "It's better for me to die than live." God asked, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" Jonah snapped, "Yes, it is, and I'm angry enough to die." But the Lord said, "You've pitied this plant, which you didn't plant or nurture. It sprang up overnight and perished overnight. Should I not pity Nineveh, that great city with more than 120,000 people who can't tell their right hand from their left, and many animals besides?"